what you've been up to in Peru recently. Loads.
Yeah, so well, quite a few different things. So I'm still connected to the retreat center here. Obviously, that was my first connection, Pachananda Retreat Center. So I'm kind of like the go-to shaman, doing shamanic work and offering cacao ceremony there if people that are staying either just as guests or as retreats will book that with me. We've also got this really beautiful new venture, our cafe, which was really
Yeah.
unexpected. But the reason we said yes to it is because two reasons, really. One, that we really wanted to connect more and make community here. But the other one is that there's a really in this the cafe space is one side, and then the same size, the other side of like a walkway is a small space for healing and little events. So we really wanted to
Mm.
offer that as well. So synchronistically, it all just came together, and yeah, we are going to be running a cafe now as well, but a healing cafe really. So a
Yeah.
space, yeah, where people can come, possibly some not just conscious events, but possibly space for people to come and work as well if they do online working or, working um, at distance or whatever you call it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like a workspace. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 yeah. We really
nice.
want to. Yeah, and I'm just thinking that if people will come and work in that space, then obviously they're going to have access to our energy and what we've got to offer as well. So it's kind
Mm.
of like a double way of bringing people in, but also offering them something as well. So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh, and then
you've been
I've,
doing retreats as well, haven't you, with your friend?
yeah, so yeah, my original idea was just to do group retreats, but then in January I had a retreat that ended up just being one person. So it became a real personal journey, um, which I originally thought, oh gosh, it's failed. I wanted a group, but I'd not considered one-to-one. And I checked in with her and she's like, oh my God, yeah, this would be great. I'd already met her here last year, so she knew me. And it was just such a beautiful journey because it meant that everything we did for that 2 weeks was instigated by her own process. So it's like one big shamanic healing session, really, but a
Mm.
physical journey to different places here. We went to one of the mountains and stayed there for a few nights, but it was all informed by what was coming up in her in a group. Of course, there's a group energy that comes up and people's different issues, but with her being one-to-one, I was just able to really tap in. I was always talking to her in a kind of, I call it a shamanic way, but what I mean by that is just an intuitive, okay, what's happening, what's in the space. And then I was able to use that to really, really instigate and lead her journey. So
So
yeah,
almost
she,
like a intense 101 transformational journey, isn't
yeah,
it?
but for
Just
2 weeks,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
mind blowing for her.
Yeah, I mean, we were, and it, actually, I was in my own process as well because I wasn't holding a group energy. I was really able to step into my process. It was like we were
Mm.
side by side, even though I was holding a container for her. We were really able to just walk through that together, and we really sort of had some really deep conversations. A bit like you and me, really. We just
Yeah,
really
yeah.
went.
Just
Um,
off
and
we
she was
go.
already, yeah, and she was already experiencing changes before she left here. And then when she got back, there were even more things that had started to transform and change. So yeah, it was really, really good to do a one-to-one.
Mm.
And then yeah, just a few weeks ago, back in April, I did a 2-week journey with my friend Louise Karen Harris and my soul sister, actually, another one, with a group of 10 women. And that was really beautiful as well, in a different way, but just such a beautiful experience to
It
watch them.
looks so nourishing, your videos and reels. Like I wished I was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it just never gets old watching people really step in and watching their stuff come up, but seeing how people are navigating that. And that's really, I always see these, whether it's like your festival or other conscious festivals or journeys like this, for me, it's really like a template of how we can be
Yeah.
when space is held for us, when we listen to each other, when we don't judge, when we know that, oh, I've got stuff that comes up and so have they, just in that
That
really,
understanding that everyone has a story, and
yeah,
being really open to each other to processing those separate stories because actually we're all the same. We've just got different stories.
exactly, yeah. And I think trying not to take things too personally when things either come at us or when we've got our own stuff coming up, because often we can be, oh yeah, it's the other person. But you know, I had things come up too. You know, Lou and I worked with some stuff that came up in each of us, and I just think that that doesn't ever really stop.
It
That we
never
just get
stops.
better at, yeah, we get
Yeah.
better at just staying in our sort of center and seeing,
Or
oh, okay,
understanding that something's coming through. Oh, what's this? Or
yeah,
oh, I'm being triggered. Oh, what's that? It
yeah,
becomes quite exciting, doesn't it? Oh, I'm being triggered.
what's happening? Yeah, yeah,
Something's
yeah,
happening. What's that about? Oh, I can't wait to
yeah.
dive into this one.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And when you can have that perspective, it just changes everything, right? You know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then things aren't happening at us or to us. It's like, oh, this is a gift. There's always a gift, right? Even in the most challenging things. I mean, you know, I went through a difficult experience after plant medicine in Iquitos several years ago. And at the time, I couldn't see, oh, you know, where's the gift here? It was just a really frightening horror experience. But as the
Mm,
years went on and I started to really integrate what had happened, you know, you just see that there is always a gift, that the universe is always offering us something. So yeah, it's really beautiful to see those very different environments, but really
mm.
seeing that same sort of process happening on the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So it's your second year living in Peru, isn't it? And then just coming back here for summers. So we're
Yeah.
really excited to have you. What are you offering us at Elevate?
Yeah, so something that I did last year and it was really beautiful and people really loved it. It's called a ceremony, which is part of the Cairo Cosmovision. So the Cairo are people that originally lived in the mountains in this area around the Sacred Valley. And they, like any indigenous people in any country or any area, they still have their traditions that have been passed down for hundreds or more than 1,000 years, actually. And one of their really key things that they offer in their tradition is one of these dispachos. So a despacho is several things. It's a prayer, it's a gratitude, it's a connection, it's a request to the universe. And what it is we make out of all different things, foods, plants. We start off with a large piece of paper which holds what we're about to create, and then we create with these different things. For instance, like nuts, raisins, sweets, little coloured things, all sorts of different things that can be burned. So there's nothing like plastic or nothing in there that can't be given back to the earth. And the reason for doing this, it's not just oh, that's a pretty thing. It's a really living, tangible process that really draws in and pulls in all the different aspects. So we call on, of course, the earth and the sun. We call on all the elements. We call on the apus, which are mountain spirits. We call on our community, our families. We call on the different layers of reality. So this dispatcher is really a mini universe in itself. And everybody puts in, so everybody is connected, everybody has parts to play in that process, even if mostly people will be watching, but I do give foods and the different things so that people can really connect their own energy in. We blow our intention into all the pieces that we're using and we place that into the dispatcho. And then when that's built, then we put it on the fire to burn. So that transforms and that opens the energy. So also we put in the things that are broken and the things that are not working, because we don't separate out that. We don't say, oh, all the horrible hoochah energy and the
Mm,
things that are not working, that's over there. And then all this beautiful energy is here. We really bring those things together because for me, that's a real teaching of we don't want to alienate all the things that we say are awful or the parts in
mm.
ourselves that are unloved or dark or
Shadows and
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, we bring all of that together because we're ultimately on our path. We're learning how to do this, right? This is our what we call darkness, and this is our light, which all of that is all us.
Mm,
And you know, when we say darkness, that's just pain. It's stuff that's been held on to. It's things that have solidified, and that are now challenging or difficult to work with. So all of that gets put into the fire as well, so that everything can get transformed, and created into something new and bring us in the new energy that wants to come. So yeah, it's
mm,
a really relaxed process. It's lovely. As we go along, I do explain what we're doing. It comes a little bit of last year I was really interested actually, because normally I just create the Despacho and people connect in. But last year it was a real almost teaching experience, and people were asking lots of questions. And as
Mm.
we went along, you could just you always can feel the energy is so tangible with these Despachos as they create. So yeah, I'm really excited to offer that again and see who wants to connect with that.
Yeah, and it's really in line with what Elevate's all about creating more connection with each other, to respect the lands that we live in, to be able to manifest what we want into being, and this kind of
Exactly.
new earth kind of way of being. It
Yeah.
just ties in really, really nicely. But actually, this is a practice that's been done for centuries, by these indigenous
Yeah,
people that we're learning
exactly. And I
from,
think,
but
yeah.
using it in a way that we can move forward into a better world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, when you talk about New Earth, I think that is, as we say in this tradition, in the North direction, is all about unlearning and remembering. So I
Yeah.
feel like the new is just remembering and lifting off the layers that we've been conditioned into, and, to think of our reality in certain ways. But
Yeah.
when we connect back to these old practices, it really remembers us in our hearts. Also
Mm.
things like dancing around fire or dancing outside,
Yeah.
the elevate dances,
It's all
that
very it's
really,
all a very indigenous way of being, the way that we're going to be with each other. That's why I say vibe as a tribe, because it's like we're going to be being how we've always been before,
yeah.
you know before we weren't.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think, and I think children are a great template for that, right? Because
Yeah.
they're really in tune with their being, their emotions. They're not assessing themselves, they're just being themselves, aren't they? And I feel
Mm.
like a lot of these practices that we do as adults are really just bringing us back to that. The Kero here, although they're adults, they've got a very childlike energy, and it's not childish,
Mm.
it's childlike. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really beautiful, open-hearted, very flowing and natural way of being. And I feel like, yeah, that's one of the
In
the
fact,
reasons.
anyone that I know that is really enlightened and been on this journey of work for a long time are childlike. They're the people that I have the most fun with, like you.
Yeah, yeah,
You and me,
exactly.
when we get together, we're
Yeah,
very childlike, because all the bullshit doesn't matter. We just come from the heart, and what speaks to us in that moment. And it is often childlike. And so play and joy and, is our birthright. And a
yeah,
lot of people forget that. And I think the reason that so many people drink alcohol is to give them permission to be silly, to be childlike,
exactly.
because they're
Yeah,
too scared behind all the walls and masks to just allow that to come through naturally. And Elevate is all about, no, we can just do that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these different ways that actually we can be really in alignment with. I mean, if you look at a child, if they're upset, they're expressing that. Or, as children, we maybe just used to burst out into song or make noises or whatever, and all of that stuff
Yeah.
now, as you become an adult, is, oh, that's not really the sort of thing you
That's
can
not
do.
very
But
mature.
yeah, but when you go back to that stuff, it's like we're really in flow, aren't we then? Where our energy is
Mm.
moving really naturally, and doesn't
Yeah.
need permission. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think that we attract people that are all just ready to do that. And so it's just really heart opened, fun, happy vibes, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did you really enjoy about Elevate last year?
So what really, really stuck out to me, I mean, obviously I always love to, whenever I'm in connection with people, I love to hear what they're about. But what I really saw was some of the younger um, people in the tribe there. I've been on a path for more than 25 years, and my perception and my way of looking at the world and the way I see myself and all of those things has really changed over that, really long period of healing and really delving into my mind and into lots of other things about my world. But what I was seeing with these younger people, in their, I can't remember, possibly late teens, early 20s, that have really got a different perception and have really got this kind of wise part that's already here that's driving them.
And
That
a
they
fire.
seem,
They're wise,
yeah,
but with the fire to fucking do it. Yeah,
yeah, it just,
yeah.
I just felt like, wow, when I was listening to what was coming forwards through these people, their voices, their passion, but their connection. Actually, I feel like that was the biggest thing that I was experiencing was connection. They're really connected to what they're seeing and where they want to go. And I feel like that's really a lot of what my work is about helping people reconnect, to release all these layers of conditioning, and reconnect with what's really here. But I feel like these people, these youngsters, are already very connected here. I'm not
Mm,
saying that they don't have their own issues and stuff like we all do, but there's
yeah.
something different about their energy. They feel really present and really ready, you know.
Mm.
I feel like, and I'm talking for myself, maybe others
It's
know.
but when you think about the age gap between us and them, we have done a lot of the legwork for them, and it was fucking challenging, because we
Yeah,
were doing it in a world that wasn't ready yet. Whereas now we've kind of created a path where they can just easily come in and be that, can't they? And
yeah,
they almost can see already, because some of us have done it, and they're like, yeah, no, this is where we want to go, and this is the direction we want to manifest as a collective consciousness for everybody. And then so
yeah,
they're much more fueled up, and it's much more normal for them. Whereas for us, our generation often ended up having psychotic episodes, because we were having these, yeah, we were having these enlightenments and seeing things, but in a world that just wasn't ready for the visions that we were having. Whereas these youngsters are
yeah,
coming through, and we've presented that no, it's normal. So then they're able
yeah,
to be it in a much more safe environment, because it's not weird or mental. It's
yeah.
yeah,
And that really connects into the retreat I've just done with my soul sister Lou, because she connects with the earth chakras, and she does lots of grid work around the
right,
earth.
yeah,
And what we were talking about is that, we are not just the template. The template is also in the earth as well, and it's in the
mm,
heavens as well. So bringing these energetic templates together so that our template can grow and grow, that's also really important. And that's, I feel, what we're doing now, that these templates of community are tapping into the earth grid, which is also informing our energy. So all of this, it's a little bit like, I guess, when we plug, we've got, I don't know, let's say a phone or some sort of item, and we plug it in so that it not only recharges, but often we have to plug something in so that it works. And that's how I see us as beings.
mm,
We're light beings plugging into the earth grid, but then not forgetting that we've got the other polarity as well. So these
mm,
almost like three grids are
yeah,
connecting us in a way that then starts to really open out. And us, like you said, us as years ago, over the last 20 odd years or more,
mm,
we've been creating our template that connects into that grid. And like you say, yeah, the youngsters have come
mm,
in and are also connecting into that same grid that's growing and growing now. So yeah, I
yeah.
feel like it's really exciting times and
It's
really,
really
really beautiful
exciting. I
to
even just
watch.
got a rush of goosebumps, in like activating that. It is an exciting time to be alive, and when you have been on this journey a long time, and you've seen the collective shift,
Yeah,
a lot of people can still get stuck in what's not perfect yet, but it's like, geez, look how far we've come, because going
yeah.
back 20 years, it was impossible to be where we are now. So actually, I think anyone that's been around a long time can see how exciting it really is right now.
Yeah, and I think that also speaks to, um, I had a couple of guests here for a cacao ceremony a week or so ago, and one of them was a lawyer, and and actually one of my other guests a few months ago, she was a lawyer too from America, that was just moving out of a big corporation and setting up her own practice, but she was still looking to work with big corporations, and often people can be very oh God, oh, the big companies, oh, just stay away from them. But what we were talking about is actually there's so much change that needs to happen. And actually there's a lot of
Mm,
change that wants to happen. Some of these big corporations that maybe haven't acted in a great way before are like us. They're starting to
yeah,
change. They're opening. They
yeah.
want to do the right thing too. So
And
that was
actually,
really
big
exciting.
corporations have got power. So to get them on board and bridge the gaps is going to create more change in the world, long lasting. We can shut things off and say, like, I've got friends that say, oh, I don't want anything to do with money because money is evil. It's like, well, actually, No, it's not. You know, with money you can have a lot of experience and power and do what you want. So it's about, you know, making money in a way that feels aligned and heart opened, and if we can get big companies to kind of develop that consciousness as well. I've actually got a sideline at the moment that's moving into more corporate, and it's because I can see that that's a good way in to continue this mission, you know,
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
movement, conscious movement.
Yeah, and me too, as you'll know, in my background in financial
Yeah.
services, I've been talking to a few people also about possibly corporate groups or men's groups or
Mm,
just different things that are not only, not everybody is drawn to come to something like a conscious festival. So there are also people that are just in the outside world that aren't really drawn to things like that, but that equally have this desire, something is changing inside.
mm,
So yeah, to bring that sort of into this place of, how can we bring the template of what's in a festival like yours out
mm,
into our more generalized world where maybe
yeah.
people aren't connecting into that way of life, but have
Mm,
still got this same desire, this still are getting this invitation internally to open, to expand, to grow.
yeah.
And
But
why
a
why
festival is just too much of a jump for a lot of those people,
some
you know.
people, yeah,
You
yeah, of
kind of need to
course.
meet them where they're at to start with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And why the reason that I brought that up was more about really reminding people, because it's really easy at the moment with all of the chaos and all of the structures that are starting to break. That can bring anxiety, right? And it can bring, I've
Mm,
spoken to lots of people that are like, oh my God, what's happening in the world? But I always look at the world. And I'm not saying this is always easy, and I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying I'm immune to the thoughts as well, but when I look at the world, I look at it almost like a shamanic session where people come with all their stuff and they start to
mm,
get upset or they're angry or
yeah.
whatever. And all that stuff comes to the surface. And then we see that. As a practitioner, I don't connect into that and I don't get involved in that. I hold a space.
Yes.
And it's almost like that's what I'm seeing in the world as well, that yeah, we are seeing a
Mm,
lot of stuff come forward, all the lies that have been told
yeah. The
in
corruption and the
different
greed and
yeah,
all the
in the
shadows
media
of
acting,
humanity.
all of that stuff, we're seeing it because
Mm,
it's coming forwards now, not because
yeah.
this is a really like crap time, but
Mm,
yeah, we're really starting to see the duality of things, right? That
yeah.
3D is duality. And
Yeah,
actually,
I was shown a few years ago at the beginning of COVID during a meditation to just rise above it all, and then it would become insignificant. And it has to me. And when I say to people, oh, it's just the 3D, they say, but we're living in the 3D, and they get really stuck in it. And I'm like, but you don't have to attach to it. You don't have to attach to it.
exactly,
You can live in this whole different realm of positivity and creation. We don't have to attach to it, and the more people that don't attach to it and we move over to positivity and creation, well, they're playing their game by themselves, aren't they? And actually the whole
exactly.
world has turned into a more positive playground, and there's just the few greedy that haven't got anyone to play with anymore, so it will just dissolve. And
Yeah,
yet but
yeah.
people
And
still want to feed it. The more we think about it and worry about it, we're still feeding it.
I think this is what people don't understand, that we're always going to be in 3D. We've got 3D bodies. We're always going to
Yeah.
reside in this place. But we don't, like you say, we don't have to be so attached to the stories,
Lenses
to
that we wear, the perception that we have doesn't have to be of the one that they've kept us in via the media and different things. It can be a lens of beauty and connection and love and other things, you know. So
exactly.
yeah,
And I feel as well that, there's a lesson in there of, if we keep demonizing what we see on the outside and make, and it makes us angry, that's really just a template of what's happening in here. If we can
yeah.
really be with our own stuff, when we get triggered and the different emotions that we experience, if we can really be with
Mm,
that and not judge, we start to see that on the in external world as well, that we
yes.
judge less, we don't get involved so much, we, oh, okay, just like when we said, oh, we're seeing, oh, right, I'm being triggered, we can see that on a wider scale. Oh, right, this is
Yeah.
happening in the world. And that isn't to say that we become numb and cold, because often people can see, oh, what, you're not bothered by what you see.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Of course
bothered,
we are.
but I'm
Yeah.
not going to put my energy there. That's
Yeah.
something different in those two
Yeah. Because
scenarios,
because But because we've learned through our own journey that when we have put our energy there, it's all consuming. Our energy gets heavy. I wasn't able to get out of bed through depression, through like crying about every single war, every single hungry child, every single,
Yeah,
and that doesn't help me create. I was just stuck in bed. But since I've not been looking at those things, I'm able to create positive events where people can come and create
exactly.
change. So
Yeah,
it's because I care so much about what's going on in the world that I'm fueled to put on events like Elevate. Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I really agree with that. And I think that that's something that took me quite a while to really, really integrate that properly. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And to feel strong enough in that I could talk about that to other people, because yeah, it can look like, oh well, what have you got your head in the sand? I remember
Mm,
when I first started watching the news, oh, you won't know what's going on, you got your head in the sand. But it's not that. I know what's going on in
mm,
the world, but I don't have to get drawn into that, into that what I
mm.
call the labyrinth, right?
And how do we
That
decide which issue do we get consumed in? Are we consumed in the war in Palestine, or are we consumed about the children down in mines, or the fact that the weather's changing, or the fact that they're geoengineering? I mean, which thing do we want to pick to focus our energy on? It's all
yeah,
going on, but while we're focused on those things, it disempowers us. The only way that we can be powerful at creating a new world is not to put our focus and energy into it, but to do something else to balance it, to counteract it. Like let's put more love
exactly.
and creation in the world.
Yeah. And actually, it really reminds me of I drew a card for somebody yesterday, and the card was in the world but not of it. And it's
Mm.
exactly that. It's almost being in the middle of
Yes.
this hurricane, right? That
And you
we're
can,
here,
yeah,
and
that's exactly it. Yeah.
everything is going on. And it's not to say that we're not involved in some of it, but
Mm.
yeah, to dissipate, like you say, it dissipates your energy, and it
Mm.
weighs you down when you really start to get into all of these things, because especially now when we've got news from all over the world,
Mm.
years ago we would only know what was going on in our local space, but now
Yeah.
we've got a whole world of stuff that's happening that we have no control over, that we
Mm.
can only really send love, and we can only see actually also in ourselves, where does some of that, the seed of what I'm seeing, where does that lie
Mm.
in me? That's what we can work on.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right, that we're more powerful when we connect in that way
Yeah.
rather than connecting
And
to all of.
so then I would go think that maybe we're being disempowered by being shown all this information to keep us kind of stuck in a certain realm that is serving other people and not the kind of realm that we want to be in. So for anyone that is kind of behind the conspiracy theories and really, really sucked and focused on that, well, the biggest anarchist thing you can do against them is to stop looking at what they're doing and go and create something powerful with creation and love and put that into the world.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's what Elevate is all about. And it's about
Yeah,
elevating our health, well-being and consciousness to create so that we can be powerful beings and create this kind of collective world together. What are you most excited about this year?
so really seeing more of what I saw last year, like I say, just listening to and connecting to the gifts that people have got, and their voice, their true voice, not when we're chatting about stuff. I mean, when people are really connecting to what it is that they've got internally, because everyone's got a gift, right? Not everyone is creating a festival or leading journeys.
Mm.
Some people maybe are just offering space for other people. Some people are really good at looking after. Some people create
Some people are
beautiful
great
food.
at writing music and putting
Yeah,
their voice out in lyrics in their songs, and
yes.
other
Yeah,
people are good at expressing it through art, and other people, and it's great just to see all those different mediums and everyone bringing their own magic to create
exactly.
like a
Yes.
whole event together. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing that again and to feeling into the vibe, because last year was such a great vibe, and it felt like it's a real tribe. It really is.
Mm.
I was going to say family, and it is family, but there's something else as well. It's not just family. It feels like sometimes family can be similar people or similar mindsets, but it feels like there's this real, what's the word I want to say? I can't think of the word now, but just all different aspects of people
Diverse.
coming in. Diversity,
Yeah.
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 Coming in as a tribe that
Different
connects
ages,
together.
different backgrounds, but with this intention of connecting and creating and being more, and that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
connects everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to just put in a little thing here that I'm really excited to bring my partner who's from Peru. And we were
Yes.
talking about different mindsets, younger, older. And also the way that we use things. So he is quite a bit younger, but he's got
Mm.
that same mindset. He hasn't been on a path of what I would call my kind of, involved in all different modalities and healings and stuff. He hasn't done any of that, but he's done a lot of his own self-healing, and he seems to have
Mm.
come to the same place as me through only a few years of his own sort of self-inquiry.
Mm.
But he uses art, and he will be offering, hopefully, in the art
Yes.
some guided, what we call sacred art, which is really connecting into our own expression of art and seeing what wants to come forwards, not controlling that. And he is now starting to offer that for other people. It started off with him just offering me a beautiful, really soul connected piece of art. And he's
Mm.
now working with that, but for others. So just connecting into what's important to them, and offering art in that way as a sacred expression.
I really
Um,
liked, you showed me a picture of something that he'd created from natural things and created a picture.
yeah, out in our garden
And
here,
so
yeah.
yeah, and the next day I was on the beach with my kids and we found pebbles and different things and we created a little picture. So we were inspired by that already. So he's already come through the ether of the
Yeah,
photograph
yeah,
that you sent and inspired
yeah.
us. And we had loads of fun doing that together.
But
Yeah.
I've also got a little piece of his art here. This is a drawn piece.
Oh wow. Oh,
But
so he's a great
he
artist. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just an example of what he does.
Mm.
But the point really, and I think it was great. One of the synchronicities of us coming together is that he's always wanted to help people. He's got an energy of when in his friends group, he was always the one that was almost like the guide, and people would ask for guidance and feel better when they're around him. And
Mm.
he's really tapped into the artistic side of that to be able to use his art to help others to express and deal with
Amazing.
emotion. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, I can't wait to meet him
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see you
We're very
again
excited. I
and
know, we're
get to
very
play
excited
in
to
the
be there.
field. And yeah, I feel, I think for me as well, the thing I'm most excited about is just, Elevate's kind of working through me. I was guided to do it. And just everybody that's been attracted in are just the most beautiful people. I actually feel quite emotional even saying it. But like we
Yeah.
literally have got the most beautiful people from all over the world coming in specifically,
Yeah.
like
Uh,
Greg and Shunya's coming from Australia. Drum Spider is coming. He's a producer in LA, messaged me. He wanted to come. It's like it's drawing in people. And so there's definitely, like, it feels to me like a higher force is working through us all, to
Yeah.
create this energy together. And it was just amazing that last year it just flowed, that it was in Glastonbury, right on the Glastonbury like ley lines, and this year it's by Stonehenge, on the Stonehenge ley lines. And it's like, we are talking of grid energy. Elevate is almost creating this amazing energy and sending it through the grid. So I'm trying to get permission from Stonehenge to do a ceremony on the Monday once we've gained this energy together, and go and do something up there. And we've actually got Amanda Waring coming, who works a lot with the UN and different things for world
Oh, wow.
peace. She's made lots of films and stuff for world peace, and a lot of her poetry is used for world peace. She's kind of a big deal, and she's coming. So, and she's run ceremonies at Stonehenge before. So we're thinking about doing something for world peace. And so we do care.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
this is how we um rebel against the negative forces in the world. It's not that we don't care, but we choose to live outside of that and create our own existence. And that's what Elevate is all about. And
And
yeah, I'm so
and
pleased that
also
you're coming.
Also, I just want to remind you as well that what you see gathering here and all the beauty that you see in the people that you're connecting with, that's an extension of you. That's your reflection. This wouldn't be
Yeah.
possible to draw in people that you do without your energy. So yeah, it's ultimately
You.
like any
Yeah.
organization, it's the person that creates it, right? That then that
Yeah,
all trickles
alchemy.
down into the others that are drawn
Yeah.
in. So
Yeah, yeah. I know sometimes I pinch myself. They say, the people you attract reflects who you are. And sometimes I'm just utterly consumed in gratitude. Like, oh, I must be all right because look at all these wonderful
yeah,
people around me, And that is just
yeah,
so reassuring. Yeah, just
yeah,
such
for
beautiful
sure.
people. I love you lots and I can't wait to see you.
I love you too. I know, only a couple of weeks. Yeah, really, really excited.